Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm Madelyn Burke alongside Howard Cross. The phone number here, 201-939-4513. Find us on Twitter at #GiantsChat or at Madelyn Burke or at HowardCross87. And as a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcast. It's Tuesday, October 31st. Not only is it Halloween, All Hallows Eve over here, it's also the NFL trading deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern, pencils down. But Howard, we've already seen the Giants making a move, sending Leonard Williams to Seattle in exchange for a couple of draft picks.
Well, you know, they do need players. I will say that. Leonard has been an exceptional player for the Giants. He's done a great job all the way around. I've enjoyed him. His play, Pro Bowl play, basically. But, you know, where they are right now and thinking, and I'm probably thinking this more of not where they are right now, but thinking about how they're going to sign guys like Leonard next year. They had to make some moves and start thinking about things.
Absolutely. And I mean, they added future assets. They received a 2024 second round draft pick and a 2025 fifth round draft pick in exchange for Williams. And this isn't, you know, a knock on his play. Like you said, he's a tremendous player, a tremendous person, like such a joy to have around the building, around the locker room. I know, especially someone's got to check on Dexter Lawrence. Those two, about 650 pounds of besties right there.
Yeah.
But just a really great guy. He's going to be a great addition to this Seahawks team. But the Giants, you know, this is something you got to take into consideration when you're looking at the future. You're looking at the way that this team, as constructed, is playing now. And can you afford to keep this core together as constructed if this is how they're playing? And also, you know, these are assets that whether or not they will translate to actual draft picks or assets to be thrown into future trades to move up the draft board, say.
I mean, you know, we're looking at a team right now that's playing with, you know, mismatch offensive linemen every week. Somebody's coming in, someone's going out. They haven't gotten their starters all together since I think the week one, the first few plays of the game. So they need guys. They need guys that need depth, and it's kind of hard. Like seems like you got a good little mix of guys in the D line and a few more players, and you start thinking about how we're going to sign certain guys the following year. And I believe, let's say, if the Giants had lost 2 games, would this trade still happen? I don't know. I would say no, because they think they're heading to a certain place and landing into a destination. But at the same time, they would have been strapped the next year for the salary cap.
Right, exactly. And so these are kind of moves that you make when you look at the way, you know, Giants starting the season off 2-6.
Yep.
Not as expected. And so they said, well, something's got to change at some point, right?
Well, you know, 2-6, I hate to say it kind of was expected. We knew they were playing teams that were going to be trying to, you know, get into the playoffs and get into the Super Bowl, not just teams that were just trying to survive and make it through. They just had a, you know, tougher schedule. A lot of primetime games in the first few games, away from home a lot. You play who you have to play, and you've had some opportunities to win some of those games. You had opportunities to win at least the last 2 specifically, and you just couldn't pull it off. So those 2 losses kind of hurt the team.
Absolutely. We've already got the phone lines lighting up, so I feel like we should just get right into this. What do you think, Howard?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Let's do it. Let's see what they got.
Let's do it. I mean, Cliff in New York already calling, wanted to chit-chat about Williams. So, Cliff, you're on with Madelyn and Howard on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Hey, Madelyn and Howard. Good to be with you.
Hey.
The Leo thing closes a painful episode for me, and I know a lot of other people, because it goes back to Dalvin Tomlinson. We were really we knew that when we got Leo, if not immediately, not long after, it was like they knew they weren't going to be able to keep both him and Dalvin already. You know, there was already, you know, a salary cap problem back then, and it was really, you know, devastating to lose Dalvin at the time. And then when we lost him, we ended up losing Blake Martinez at the same time, and we had no middle in the defense, and it was just awful. And I was remembering thinking, oh, geez, we got Leo, and it must have been a tough call for Gettleman. And when they let Dalvin go, Gettleman praised what a wonderful man he was, what a fine person he was. But he didn't really say that much about his contribution physically on the field, you know, even though we all had a lot of respect for that too. Well, what I'm trying to get to is that when I I just checked a couple of timelines to see that Dexter Lawrence was already on the team, and he was when we signed Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were afraid of losing Dalvin, and they had high hopes for Dexter, even though they didn't use him in the nose right away, it seems like you couldn't. It seems like it's better than it could have been if Dalvin was still here, if that's possible, because of the way Dex has developed.
Well, I think it's we're looking at it trying to like paint it in the best light we possibly can. Dex and Dalvin were on the team at the same time as Leo. Leo and Dex have been like the dynamic duo for the last few years, and they've been getting better and better. How Dex gets to play now will be determined about how much pressure and how many double teams he gets, and how many guys are kind of like locking in on him. It becomes one of those things when you have a guy the caliber of Leonard playing directly beside you.
Right.
It takes a lot of the pressure off of you because they can't double you every time. Because they do, they let him go. So that's what I'm going to be looking at going forward for Dex, and see how he's able to handle the new garnish, I guess, attention he's going to get out there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because Dex is coming off a game. He had a sack, a tackle for loss, 5 quarterback hits, 15 pressures. 15 pressures ties the record for the most pressures in a single game by an interior defensive lineman.
Yeah.
So Dexter Lawrence coming off a great game. How will that translate now without his bestie beside him?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for him. And you're right. Dalvin Tomlinson was a great player for the Giants. He did a lot of great stuff. He was the man in the middle. And while he was here, Dex was having to rotate with him and was spelling him. When he left, they moved Dex up to be the guy, and that's when Dex started to shine.
Yeah. Cliff, thanks so much for Go ahead.
Yeah. Just one other thing. Well, what I'm trying to say is I'm happy with the way it's all settled out now, because obviously Dex has made all the difference in the world. Last week, for the second time in a few weeks, somebody called in about looking back at draft choices going back 10 years, and it just bothered me. It just bothered me because ownership had made 2 management changes during that time, and when the second management change came in, we all agreed that they were starting from a much higher plateau than the first management change did. And if you just go back and look at the draft starting in 2018, you see a lot of familiar names, because the problem before that was that not only were they not getting second contracts with the Giants, they weren't even on anybody else's roster anymore anywhere in the league. And that completely changed starting in 2018. I mean, when B.J. Hill was drafted by us, for example, and he's not with us, but look at what he's doing.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to put in a plug for that, because off the top of his head last week, Pearson, rattled off 3 guys from just the last draft.
Go ahead, Pearson.
And I say it goes back to 2018. I just wanted to put in a plug for that. I'm happy with the way things are going.
Awesome.
No, that's awesome. That's very nice. Very nice to say about the previous regime.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Cliff. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Hat tip to Pearson, though. Producer Pearson, always on his P's and Q's over here, keeping us on stride and all that.
The Google machine is live.
That World Wide Web. It's worldwide. It's worldwide.
It's just my brain, guys.
That's the way it works.
My brain.
It's all stashed up there. Google is just access to what's got
Google is just Google.
Mind.
No, it's Pearson's brain.
No, it really is. It's going to be interesting the way that this team adjusts now, though. How A'Shawn Robinson probably filling in that spot.
Well,
you would say
Nacho,
Nacho, yeah.
You got the rookie that's out there also,
Jordan Riley.
So you got a few guys that can. I don't know if they can play at the same level as Leonard, but they're going to get their opportunity. So that's good. That's good for Leonard to get to go off and ride off to the sunset, go to a team that's a playoff team.
Right.
No, he didn't want to leave, wanted to keep building and trying to make it. But, sometimes when you get a chance to go somewhere, you get to go somewhere. And we've seen what they've done so far with draft picks when they bring them in and be able to get more draft picks in a second this year, next year, and a 5th the following. They wind up picking 2 guys that could be 2 starters. So draft's never guaranteed, but they've been doing a very good job in draft so far.
Right. And for Leonard Williams, it's the first time he's played in the NFL outside of the New Jersey market. He started his career, of course, with the Jets, traded to the Giants 4 years ago. Now going back to the West Coast, the Pacific time zone, where he played his college ball at USC.
Yeah.
So wishing him all the success, all good
Julian
things,
Love,
and
too.
reuniting with Julian Love. Julian Love on social media last night was gassing this move up. Like, oh, Big Cat coming to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't blame him, though. That's his boy and everything. That works out. He's a tremendous player. I can't say it enough. He's a tremendous player. Now, Leonard's got to find a place to live, all that stuff. He's been living in the same place the whole time.
That's wild. That is wild when you think about it. It's like, wow, the first time you're in Boca Raton, you got to move.
He's moving he's in a hotel. He's like, what am I going to do? What am I? It's pretty funny.
And that's the reality of the trading deadline, that we don't think about it, right? It's not like our fantasy team where this person just goes bloop and now is on your roster.
Oh, it's over.
This is like this person's life. You got to change your plans on Monday. You got to, I know I had a dinner reservation this week, but you know what? Sorry, I can't make it because I got to move.
Kids, let me talk to you for a second. Daddy's going to be away for a few weeks. I'll be back. Are we moving? Like, I don't know. Let me just see. So it's a lot that goes on.
It's a lot of things that come into play, and a lot of things that come into effect in this one. But you know what? Wishing him the best of luck, and we're curious to see how this unfolds too. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or simply go to giants.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Big Blue Kickoff live on a Tuesday news day. The NFL trading deadline just hours away. Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross on the studio, on the show,
on the mic. We're on the mic.
On
We're
the
on the
ones
mic.
and twos. This is the ones, that's the twos. I don't know. This isn't a DJ booth. Y'all, it's Tuesday. The phone number here is 201-939-4513. Let's go back to the callers so someone else can talk right now, because I am clearly
on the web.
It's the World Wide Web,
We're
Howard.
on the World Wide Web.
AKA Pearson's brain. Dan in the Poconos is online too. Dan, what's on your mind?
What's up,
You're
man?
on with Madelyn and Howard on Tuesday afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Madelyn. It's a pleasure to talk to you. You're a great addition to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for saying that.
I just wanted to point out, if I could,
Please.
and I can't believe no one's point. I got to go back to that miserable game again. One last. Hopefully, we won't be revisiting it too much. Right after you missed the field goal, okay? It's just before those two plays, before the end of the game, they had first down. It was on the 31-yard line, I believe, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was on the 31. The first play, and I hear all this stuff about they didn't go into prevent defense. They didn't go. If you watch the TV, I was standing up. Of course, I can't sit watching the Giants game. I just pace the floor back and forth, screaming at the TV. And you see the DBs and the safety, you see them go back. They must have been about 25. They were almost out of the picture of the shot the TV was showing.
Oh, okay.
They just dropped back immediately, and then bang, bang, and we know what happened. So, the only one, Odori, didn't quite own up to what happened on that play when, he just ran into the guy. So, as I just get a little excited when I start talking about this stuff again. But, I just can't believe no one pointed that out.
Well, Adoree was actually asked, were you guys in prevent at that point? He said, no, we're actually playing outside man. So,
yeah. And I was like, are you kidding
wasn't
me?
a prevent.
I think
you saw them.
I think more than that, though, the things that go on, if you have to, and we don't like second guessing, but things like, first, if Saquon runs another 4 or 5 yards before he goes down without being touched, I know he's going down, trying to keep the clock going. So the defense never gets a chance to get on the field. If you're going to kick the field goal, it's not kicking the field goal because forget about your kicker having a bad leg. There was a bad snap earlier that may have caused a miss. I think that you have all new linemen that this is their real first week playing together. I don't put them in that situation. I'm like, okay, let's just run it one more time and see how quickly they can get up off the pile. That's how I would have been doing. You just take your time there. I think that in the defensive plays, that when things that you can't change, but just happen in the defensive plays when they're going down trying to get the tie. it seemed like that the ball was caught and everybody just kind of ran to get back into position to make sure they could get, set so that they couldn't run another play. Instead of like taking your time, getting off the tackle, taking your time, making sure they spot the ball, just a little hesitation at all would have been the end of the game. And the spotting of the ball at the end of the game was remarkable, but that they were able to get the ball down in 1 second and spike it, I was impressed. Not sure that I like the entire thing, how it went down. I think the referee came up and touched the ball and stepped out of the way instead of
with the center placing it down, the referee touched it.
Yeah, it's like instead of him handing it to him and placing it himself, looking to the sideline, he just touched it and bagged up.
Well, and also too, this is like something that it would be a vet move to understand that timing and say, okay, let me be a little bit slower in getting up.
Yeah, well,
and
it's just part of it. Just like because if it's the other way around, nobody's getting up. they're reaching at the ball and everything. So those are things they're going to look back at and say, like, we had so many opportunities to do it ourselves instead of like waiting to the last plays in overtime. Because in my theory, if they got to overtime, I'm like, it's either going to be a tie or we're going to lose because we have no ability right now to do anything. And it's nothing against DeVito or anything. It's just, it was raining sideways.
Yeah.
It was like, you saw when Tyrod ran to the side and he tried to open his arm to really throw the ball and the ball popped straight up in the air out of his hand. He caught it, and that's when he got hurt, when he got tackled on the sideline. It was just one of those days, man. And like so many guys were going down.
I revisit that, right? It's just a freaking nightmare. Let's just forget about it.
All right. Well, thank you for your call. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dan. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, it's like everybody's like, the defense there. What were they doing? I'm like, man, look, there were so many opportunities that we just missed out on. That could, like the first, I think, field goal was a little bit of a dribbler back to him. He's trying to get set. He hesitates before he tries to go up and make the kick, pulls it. It's just things like that. When it's raining like that, you can't expect much. Just hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, it was a messy game. There were 24 punts in that game. It was a messy game from start to finish.
And their punter will be in the Hall of Fame for that game.
The way that he downed the ball within the 5-yard line, like thrice, though.
I don't hit my wedges that good to make the ball stop. So that's
your daughter does.
Yeah, she does.
Bella does.
Bella will stick a wedge. Bella will stick a wedge. Yes, she can.
Absolutely. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Giants fans, take your fandom to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2023 season. And to learn more about all of the exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. It's 201-939-4513. Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. We've got Rick on line 3 holding. Rick, you're on with Madelyn and Howard. How's it going?
Rick down in Tampa?
Maddie, what is up? Happy Halloween to you guys.
Happy Halloween.
A lot of stuff is on my mind. But first things I got to say is that Zach Wilson, who sucks, threw the ball in that overtime. And because DeVito, we watched him in the summer, spring preseason, and he was a lightning spark. He was running around, he was throwing the ball. So this not giving him a chance to throw. I don't care what the weather's like. I think it was a bad call.
They gave him a chance. They gave him a couple chances.
Yeah, I know.
He threw the ball. He threw the ball over the head of somebody out of bounds. Yeah. He threw it in the dirt, and like at that point, you're like, okay, so here's the idea: if they don't score, they can't win. So let's keep it out of their other guys' hands there, and let's not make a mistake.
All right. So that I just want to say that, but two quick things that I want to make a statement. One is that Graham Gano, what was going on with him? I mean, he was MVP, and all of a sudden he can't make a 35-yard field goal and had a problem with the other field goal. I don't know what's going on with that. That's just mind-boggling the scenario. The defense has been playing lights out for weeks. I mean, every game last year we found ways to win and made the right decisions and did the right thing. This year we do everything wrong, make the wrong decision, and we're losing. But the defense, that goes back to my point. Well, I do want to ask you about Graham Gano because, come on, he's got to make that kick. This is the only we're not making. Giants aren't doing any other trades. I mean, that 2 and the 4 or 2 and the 5 that we got for Leo was a steal, and that's the only reason they did that. And we'll be fine on the defensive line. The way our defense has been playing, we got 4 games down. I'm going to be an optimist. We have 4 games. We have Daniel back. We're going to have Andrew back. We have Saquon. We have the team. The defense is lights out. We should have won the Buffalo game.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 games right now. Raiders. The only game that is going to be the challenge, I think, is the Cowboys. And I think with our defense, we can beat them. We pull 4 games in a row. We're 6-6, ready to strike. I don't think they're going to make another trade. They're not giving away any more players. They're going to go with what we have. And I think we'll be fine because with everybody coming back, we should be okay. What do you think of that?
I think if you get everybody back on the offensive line first, I think you got a chance. Right. I think Daniel, I don't know if he's back or not. I think he wants to be back.
We do have reports that he was cleared for contact. That does not necessarily mean that he's back. But that is trending in the right direction.
And I'll tell everybody the same thing. If it's my neck, you better make sure am I clear? Like clear? Like clear. Right, clear. Crystal?
You saw the Raiders last night, right? You saw how bad they are. So
yeah, I did, but I also know that if you hurt your neck, you have to be careful. Right. That's how I look. Yeah.
We don't have another quarterback, so right. But yeah, it has to be him. So, but that's my thinking. They're not get that fell into their lap. A 2nd round pick.
Yeah, that's
and a fourth, right?
A fifth. Second and a fifth.
That is phenomenal. So I mean, I don't see that. Everybody's saying, "Oh, Barkley's going to go." Nothing's going to happen. That's it. They're done. They got it. They stole that 2nd round pick. Now they have 2 more picks. They have 8 now, right? And they're going to play the string out. And I tell you, you can win 4 games right now, and they're 6-6.
That would be interesting. That would be very interesting.
The defense is giving me that, confidence.
Absolutely.
Speaking into the universe. I like it.
Speak it into existence indeed. Rick, appreciate the call. Thanks so much for taking the time with us on Big Blue Kickoff Live. The NFL trade deadline, of course, coming down to it. We got 3 more hours, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's pencils down. The Commanders, of course, looking elsewhere in the division, trading Montez Sweat to the Bears in exchange for a 2024 2nd-round pick. So that's some big news happening in the NFC East as we continue to watch the moves that are being made. But, the point that Rick was making, too, first talking about Graham Gano's missed field goals, uncharacteristic. He's missed 6 on the season, and he knows that is uncharacteristic. After the game, he was asked, like, hey, how bad is that knee? Is it about your knee? He's like, no, I just missed it, and I shouldn't have missed it. And this man, before the game, he's taking practice chip shots from all over the field. He's out of bounds kicking field goals off angles, like this man is like making his own personal top golf out of his field goal practice going into the game. So for him to miss 2 in a game like that, you can blame it on the rain, Milli Vanilli. You can blame it on, the cold. There's so many different things you can say, but Graham Gano knows he's saying, no, it's not about the knee.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first one, like I said, could have been a little bit of the snap and the way he kind of hitched before he had to take off. The second one, no offense, I am glad he missed it. I just tell everybody all the time. The team over the defense jumps over the center. Like I'm assuming he doesn't touch him because if he touched him, they'd have blown the whistle. And if he kicks it directly straight, that guy blocks it. They're chasing him from behind, like in the Dallas game, and the game's over right there. That's a worse way to lose, if you ask me. So I was like, I did not like. Like I said, somebody has to put a hand up to touch that guy or something because that is just, I don't know how you do that. I don't know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. But, to Rick's other point, too, about just the defense, the tremendous strides the defense has been making. I mean, you remember the first few weeks of the season, this defense couldn't get a sack, couldn't get a takeaway. Now they're getting both in bunches. Kayvon Thibodeau now, after 3 sacks against the Jets, he's got 8.5 on the season. He's tied for 3rd in the league in sacks, tied with Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. He's
coming on. I mean, he's really coming on. I think with Dex in the middle, like coming on with all those pressures and hits. You got other guys coming. You got some of the safeties coming down and making plays from the outside as well. So you got some guys that are making sacks and getting. And Bobby Okerike's been in the backfield a lot, chasing the quarterback. They're just getting there. Winks dialed it up right. These guys are fired up, and they kind of got the idea that, hey, look, if the other team doesn't score, if we can hold them back, if we can score ourselves, it might take us to win. And they're taking that on their own shoulders, and the team's going to ride the defense as long as they'll take them, as far as they'll take them.
To quote Little Giants, whatever it takes, right?
whatever it takes.
Exactly. It takes. And the Raiders, I mean, you got a Raiders team this weekend in Vegas coming off a short week, Monday Night Football. Jimmy Garoppolo sacked 6 times in that one. our second most in the NFL with 16 giveaways on the season. In a time of the season where the Giants defense is really hitting their stride in both of those categories as well.
But the Raiders have a decent defense.
Sure.
So that's the thing I worry about mostly. You want to make sure that they're not sacking and causing problems and getting to our quarterback.
How's their punter?
No. Well, we don't care. We're not gonna have another punting day like that. We got a we actually have a punt returner now. That was pretty impressive. That young man catching the ball, understanding to let it go over his head, never knowing the guy had like a lob wedge with clean grooves. The ball was going to stop every time, but he did a good job. I enjoyed. He got positive yards every time he touched the ball, so that was impressive.
Absolutely, love to see it. 201-939-4513 is the phone number here on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross. The phone lines still lighting up. We've got Joe in Pennsylvania on line 1. Joe, you're on with Madelyn and Howard. What's on your mind?
What's going on, Joe?
Hi there, Marilyn. Hi there, Howard. This season here, it started with the injuries, then the way the ball bounced up off of Barkley and the other ones. And now, he normally makes them field goals. He could be blindfolded and kick it lefty and make them. It's just that type of season. It's crazy. So, but what I want to say is I want to nominate Dave Gettleman for Manager of the Year. How can you have Leonard Williams? We have him, 4 years or so, play at an all-pro level. We gave up a number 3 for him, and we're getting back a 2 and a 5. How can you beat that?
That's pretty good.
And our best players are still Barkley, Daniel Jones, Thomas, Leonard Williams, and you've seen
Dexter Lawrence.
Yep.
Dexter Lawrence, and who are they credit to? So I got to nominate Dave Gettleman for Manager of the Year.
Wow.
So that's the only thing that's sparking me up the way the Giants are going this year. So maybe next year when they get everybody back and stuff like that, what can I say? Maybe the ball bounces our way and they'll bounce off the goalposts and go in and all that stuff, So thank you for taking my call, and thank you, Dave Gettleman.
Well, thanks, Joe. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the time this afternoon.
A little shout out to Gettleman. Maybe it wasn't so bad when he was out there picking up draft picks and people were talking about him, but he did kind of, I would say, put together part of the core of the team. Some good guys that are still on the team that are still great players and great contributors, and one guy all pro, another guy close to being all pro. So yeah, he did all right.
Absolutely, he did all right. We've got Bob in New Jersey on the line. Bob, what's going on? You're on with Madelyn and Howard.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. My question was for Howard. Being one of the best blocking tight ends that I've witnessed. I've been watching the Giants since the 60s.
Thank you.
And but I wanted to ask you, Howard, is it possible when you're struggling blocking the offensive line and they drop back in a pass set, can the pass set be shortened where, like, in other words, the drop step isn't so big and the contact is made sooner to help some guys like Neal, like to help them maybe, it seems like a lot of times the Giant guys are dropping back and they're backpedaling against some tremendous athletes that are just trying to get. Is there a way, like as a great blocker, is there a way to shorten the drop step and contact that guy quicker, or is that not possible at the NFL level?
At the NFL level, it's called a short set, and when you short set a guy, you take a quick hop off the ball, you try to get in front of him as quickly as possible and stop. The problem with that is that a lot of guys, especially when you're talking about kneel and tackles, they're playing what the NFL will consider a wide nine technique. So they're playing a technique that's not next to the tackle, but would be next to a tight end that would be outside the tackle. And if they're running at full speed and you short set them, you're not deep enough to get to the guy to block him. If the guy's right beside him and you short set him, all you do is take one step inside and you'll take your next step inside. And when he goes outside, you're not deep enough to get, to cause the pocket. You might be able to run him around, but with a short set, you basically run them right into the quarterback. So that's why the guys are dropping back, hitting 2 or 3 kicks and trying to get the guy to stay as wide as possible.
And Howard, do you think, like, the Giants have like who's there now, and I know it's hard to gauge from an outside view on television and all, and I'm a gigantic Giant fan, and I love the pieces the Giants have put together. I think the future looks great. They have some real good pieces in place, and in a year or two it could all pay off by adding a few. In your opinion, and I mean this respectfully, do you believe that, like, Evan Neal you hear so much bad talk about him, and he's so young. Do you think he has the hip quickness for a tackle, or he might be better suited at guard?
I can't answer. I think that he's played a lot of the season on a bad ankle. He had a bad knee last year. And I think that until you see him totally healthy, I can't pass judgment on someone who, like, I remember when Andrew Thomas had his first couple of years, he had the bad ankle that he was, like, out there lumbering around, and people were like, well, this is a mistake. How did they get this guy? And then he gets healthy, and all of a sudden he's all pro. So I'm not saying Evan Neal's going to be all pro, but I will say that I can't judge a guy that's out there gutting it out when he's injured.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, guys. You do a great job, Madelyn. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to the Giants just each game and next year and whatever it is. I just love the pieces Shane and them have put together. So thanks for the time.
Thanks so much for the call, Bob. Appreciate it. The 2023 NFL schedule is officially out, and single game tickets are on sale now. Don't miss the Giants at MetLife Stadium this season. Visit giants.com/tickets to secure your seat today. The phone number 201-939-4513 for a Big Blue Kickoff Live with Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross. Howard, of course, we're a couple hours still away from pencils down NFL trade deadline today. 4 p.m. Eastern is the deadline. We saw the Giants make the move to send Leonard Williams to Seattle. We saw the Commanders sending Montez Sweat out to Chicago. Lots of moves within the division, within the league. I'm curious how these things are going to come to pass and how it's going to affect the way that the team looks on Sunday when, we face the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. This is the first time the Giants are taking the trip out to Allegiant Stadium to face the Raiders in Vegas.
Well, every 4 years, that makes sense.
Yeah, but they've only been there for 4 years, so 3. So I'm just saying.
It's okay.
I'm just saying. Now you too, two Brute, jeez. Anyway,
and let me say, it's very triggering when you say pencils down. I hated going to take an exam.
I know, right? And it's like so stressful. You're like, I know this one. Pencils down. You're like, dang it.
It's gonna be interesting to see, like, people like Adams at the South the Raiders right now if he gets traded. Which I think Josh is having a hard time out there because he trades away Adams' quarterback that he kind of went to go play with. And even though he says I didn't go to play with him, like, he kind of definitely went to go play with him.
Right.
And Carr's gone and Adams is still there, and now he has his first non-catch game in 2 years or something, or one catch game. So that's that is tough. I think that there are other teams that are going to try to improve and find things that everyone's been beating on. What is Saquon going to do? The big question is, what is Derrick Henry going to do? Are they going to trade Derrick Henry to one of these contending teams? Trade him to Baltimore? Or trade him to the Cowboys? I would hate to see Derrick Henry with the Cowboys. I really would hate to see that. But whatever's best for him and whatever goes on. And who else who's going to be moving around today and what could be happening. So I'm excited all around to see what's going on. And who I think people are talking about even trading Tannehill from Tennessee, since they got 2 quarterbacks that they want to see what's going to happen with them, and I don't think they're having the greatest season, so they could trade Tannehill for one to see what's happening. So there's a lot of guys.
I think if you trade Tannehill, that's a tricky thing because you don't want to have a quarterback room with just Malik Willis and Will Levis like that. You need a veteran presence in a quarterback room. No,
I think that's a great option, but if you're trying to get guys work, what are you going to do?
That's true. About 2 hours and 45 minutes left until the NFL trading deadline comes to a halt, and we'll continue to monitor all things Giants through all the Giants platforms, of course. But we also have a game to look forward to on Sunday.
Yeah,
I mentioned this, Giants-Raiders on Sunday. This is going to be an interesting one. You got a Raiders team, 8 straight games with fewer than 20 offensive points. Of course, the New England game, they had 21 points, but that's because Max Crosby had that safety. So the offense only put up 19 or what have you.
Jimmy G's going to be out there.
And then the Giants, of course, they've struggled to score points offensively as well. Their defense coming on the last couple of weeks.
I think the Giants, like I said, it depends on who else comes back offensively, especially from the offensive line. The more guys that come back in the offensive line, the better they're going to play going forward. And, Saquon makes a huge difference in the game. If he gets the ball, he makes a difference. When he doesn't get the ball, defenses follow him because they know. And it opens up the game for the receivers that they're all waiting for. Question I have is like, how do the Giants, do they activate Cager, right? They got Bellinger and Cager, and that's it. So there's probably going to be a tight end walking through the door sometime today for interviews and checking on to see if he can play. There's probably going to be, depending on how Daniel feels, another quarterback walking through the door today, because if Daniel can't go, we have one. Mm-hmm. And you can't go into a game with one quarterback.
Can't go into a game with one quarterback. Of course, you mentioned the tight end position. Darren Waller, who left the game on Sunday with a hamstring issue. Still questions around what or how severe that is going to be.
The hamstring is always bad. I mean, like, think about Thomas. He got a hamstring that happened in week 1, and he's still out. So it's just not. And I've never had a hamstring. I've never been that fast, or maybe I wasn't that good of an athlete. So, but like a lot of guys get hamstring. The only way I could pull a hamstring is if you push me off something like a hill or a cliff, and I'd be running down. But outside of that, I was never fast enough. I wasn't moving that quick. So I think that's one thing that I know for sure. But
and those are tricky injuries too, because you start to come back from them, you feel good, and you feel a lot better before the actual injury heals. So you feel like you're ready to go. And then, you tweak it. That's what happened to AT. That's what happened to Andrew Thomas. He was getting better, and then he tweaked it into practice and then had a setback. Yeah,
and I think the setbacks were worse than the original injury. So I don't know. Again, never had the pleasure to fill in. Don't want to have the pleasure to fill in, but it stands to reason. These guys are trying to get back as soon as possible. So, thinking about Waller, hopefully it's not severe. I know they grade them. I hope he gets a passing grade, so to speak, but it's going to be tough for him to get back from it.
It's going to be tough indeed. But you mentioned Saquon Barkley, of course. He's coming off 36 rushing attempts, 128 yards. His first 100-yard rushing game of the season. 36 attempts is a career high for Saquon Barkley. The volume. And you can kind of see, too, the more you feed him, the more it's like the inertia of it getting going, especially in that second half. He had some chunk plays that really got galvanized this offense. And I feel like for a player like Saquon, or really an offensive player in general, and Howard, you can speak to this too, when the more you're getting the ball in your hands, does that just kind of help it grow and I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Evolve. I think what happens, especially with running backs, if you keep hitting the line, eventually someone's going to let go or not get to their spot, and then you gain yards as you go. Also, Saquon is a shifty runner. He likes to have a couple steps sometimes when he's looking at the line to avoid guys. I think that after play 10, you might still be avoiding guys, but play 14 or 15, you're like, okay, if I'm going to get hit anyway, let me hit him before he hits me. And that starts to change the way that the defense starts to tackle you, because once you start to hit them and drive them back and carry a couple guys, they start to get even more tired because they're not able to, quote unquote, tee off on you, as we say, and it starts to wear them down. When you start to play that way and start to hit the back of your lineman and start trying to ride through holes, they start blocking better. Right. Whether they dislike you hitting them in the back or whatever it is, or they like the success of seeing you squeeze through by them to get a few extra yards, they start grinding more. So the running game is not the running game of old where we showed up as 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's how we played. Today is more of we need a little flash, some misdirection, some of anything we can to get things started. But when offensive linemen start grinding guys and knocking guys back, everybody's inspired. The running back is inspired. The quarterback's inspired. The receivers start kind of get closer so they get a chip on somebody, get a hit so they can be a part of this march. And the defense gets excited. The defense gets excited because when you're pounding guys and you're knocking them off the ball, the defense gets excited because they're sitting on the bench getting rest. Right. So they can come out and be full tilt when they come on the field. Right, exactly. You got to, it's about the kind of the consistency too of keep pressing forward. Yeah, but you got to. It can't be run on the first down, 2nd and 12. It can't be that. It's going to be second and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 4. Then all of a sudden 2nd and 1. That's what you're looking for.
Exactly. 201-939-4513. We got some phone lines open here on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross. And just a reminder, the Giants' official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. It's Tuesday, October 31st here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Couple of hours away from the NFL trading deadline as we continue to monitor things around the league and what the storylines to follow. But of course, back on the horse, back in week 9 already. It feels like the season has flown by, Howard.
It has, and they haven't had a bye yet. So that's crazy. So they go out here, like the earlier caller said, like they could win 6 in a row or win 4 in a row and be 6-6. When I'm like, man, come on. Let's not look too far ahead. Let's not project. Like, let's get to this week and, go out against the Raiders, have some success. If you win the game, they were so close in the Buffalo game. They were one play away. They were so close in this game, in the rain, with their third-string quarterback. Guys down everywhere. Waller's out of the game, and they were still close. So all you can do is just keep grinding, keep trying, and just, I think the big difference was, and I said this before the season started, you can't win that many one possession games. You got to get it down to 2 possessions or better, because if it's a 1 possession game, it goes either way, and it gets tougher and tougher to pull it off. So last year they pulled them off all the time, like Minnesota did. This year, you just got to keep grinding, because one play here, one play there, all of a sudden, I hate to say the word momentum, because I always say that's a little bit of a cop-out, but the momentum starts, and it starts to be positive, and when you get something positive going, more and more people want to contribute to it. Right.
Well, and the pendulum swings both ways, right?
Yeah.
If you're on this side of these close games, you're going to be on this side of these close games too. And it's just like finding a way to be not on the close game side, but be on the dominant game side. And how do you build towards that?
Yep. Keep the ball in the fairway if we can.
Exactly. Take some golf lessons from Bella Cross, and she will make sure that you're on your P's and Q's.
You do know I taught her, right?
I do. But you know what? Young Miyagi has learned. The student has become the teacher.
She does beat me regularly, but that's okay though. It's all right. I'm okay with that. Your child should advance.
Exactly. As long as you've made peace with that, that's all we ask.
I'm holding her golf clubs hostage so she moves and by me.
There we go.
There will be no more beatings here.
No more, indeed. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Big Blue Kickoff Live on Tuesday, October 31st with Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross. We've got Mike in West Orange on line 1. Mike, how's it going?
What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for calling.
I'm not going to just talk about all the noise and all. I don't want to do that. But the thing I wanted to make a point about was that the Giants are the only team in NFL history to win championships in 4 consecutive decades. The 80s, the 90s, 2009, and the 11 to 20. If we win one this year, in this decade, it'll be 5. Wow. All right, times haven't been that great, but I've been watching them a long time. They are a phenomenal organization. The noise right now is ridiculous. I understand the game got away the other day in the Buffalo game, but they're building the right way. Howard and Madelyn, how do you guys feel? Like, are you guys, like, if you were asked to be real about it, I know you represent the Giants, do you feel they're on the right path? Do you like what they're doing?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is a great question.
I'm not a prisoner to the moment, and I tell people this all the time. You have to take them with drips and drabs. I think last year they were a little bit ahead of schedule, but they caught the best schedule to play against.
Yes.
I said before the season started, like playing the schedule with all the primetime games, especially early in the year, it's going to be tough. And fans are like, we play. We got a shot. I'm like, okay, well, let's calm down, taper it back just a little bit. Let's look and view what we would consider success. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was trying to say. Like, you need to see progress for there to be success. And I said the first thing that's going to determine whether they have progress or not is the health of their team.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been looking at, is the health of the team. I'm like, everybody has injuries, but no one loses their entire offensive line. But, that just happens. Then you lose your quarterback. Then the star running back is out who makes a big difference. And then, other parts of the team just have to pick it up. And since all that has happened, the defense has started to pick it up and started to lead the way. So, yes, I think they're heading in the right direction with John Michael Schmitz, with Hyatt, And Banks out there at the corner, yeah, those guys are all playing tremendous ball. Trayvon Thibodeau comes in. Trayvon. I got all these T's and K's, all these names. Thibodeau, man, bro. I'm sorry. Trayvon Thibodeau, coming in, he played well after he got healthy. And then this year, he's just bringing it on even more. So, you got Big Dex out there that's playing well. And McKinney is still out there playing well. So you got some guys that are on the field that are making plays that you can look at and go like, okay, forgive me, Andrew. Thomas is playing tremendously out there as well. So, yeah, you got the guys out there to play. I'm not even mentioning Daniel and Saquon and everybody else, but you got guys out there making plays. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and to your point, too, it's like you're kind of at the whim of the schedule and also the health of the team and the combination of the two. But you talk about growth, Howard, and growth is an important thing, especially on the defensive side of the ball, Mike. I mean, we've seen incredible strides from this defense, the way as constructed, and you look at the way that they were playing the first couple games and you say, okay, let me address this and let's get better. And they have gotten better week in and week out and had stronger performances each week. And that's the kind of trajectory you want to see that shows, some positive growth in that. They say Rome wasn't built in a day or championship team wasn't built in a day. It's frustrating to see a team that has so much talent in spots not able to put it together for wins because of so many variables.
Yeah, and also the interior defensive line got depth. Bobby Okereke is playing excellent, playing downhill. So, I see positive things everywhere and things to build on. I just hope the guys are, keep playing hard, but stay healthy. The healthier they are, the better they're going to look as the season winds down.
Yeah.
And Howard, do you feel that the injuries, the Giants, I don't know statistically if I'm right on, but since 2008 or 9 or 10, they've led the league or in the top 3 in injuries like every single year. What do you think is going on? Is that a training thing, or is it just bad luck, or what do you feel about that?
It's mostly bad luck. A lot of teams have a tremendous amount of injuries. I've been watching all around the league. I am not a doctor. I am not a trainer. I have no right to say anything about it. The thing I will say is, like I tell people all the time, I tell the trainers, you can't fight a championship fight if you don't spar. That's how I looked at it. You need to do the contact and everything. And thank you for the call. You need the contact and everything to kind of get yourself in that position. But if you don't have it and trying to jump into it, it kind of gets you in trouble. It's almost like watching a baseball game when the guy's out in the outfield for like 18 innings or 27 innings and nothing's really coming his way. And all of a sudden the ball sit out there and he sprints.
Right.
His whole body like, okay, like what was that? You ain't supposed to be doing that, dude. You're gonna pull something.
Or I can watch someone slide a million times, but the first time I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be a little clumsy. I gotta do it a few times before I can do it.
So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing that it has taken over the league, and I ask older players, like players my age or a little bit younger, and players that are older than me. I say like, hey, when we practiced back in the day, do you ever remember anybody getting hurt in practice? And guys are like, forget about that. Do you remember getting hurt in practice? They're like, actually, no. So there's a lot of things that they did, the league and the union, trying to get themselves in the position to, quote unquote, keep players safe, but at the same time, adding games to the schedule.
Well, and I think, too, that we're seeing that across sport, right? The NBA, for example, has put in new rules about load management because players are too often healthy scratching and resting and saying, you know what, listen, if you're not out for an actual injury, we might actually investigate what this is. And, there's a lot of just varying thinking around sport and around how much players should play, how much players should practice, how much physicality players should take. And there's some data that shows this is good. There's some data that shows that's good. And, these teams are doing the best they can to protect the health of the players to their best ability. We're all but it's not a perfect science.
What's America's food?
America's food?
Yeah, hot dogs, right?
Ew.
Everybody loves hot dogs, but no one wants to see how they're made.
Yeah, because I guess that's why I don't love hot dogs.
Right? But that's the truth. It's summertime. Let's go grab a hot dog. Everybody's eating them, but if you knew what boy, you wouldn't eat them. And I think that's what's happening mostly to our sports, is that we are, quote unquote, consuming the sport and loving the sport, but we want to know more and more about it. And the more we know about it, the more criticisms we have about it.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, It's a great job. It's good money. You have to put, you build your body up to do this for a short amount of time, and then you're out. Sympathy comes from people who don't play, and they're like, oh, I could never do that. I would never do that. I'm like, I can't be a doctor. I can't go to school for like 15 years to become a doctor. I couldn't do it. I couldn't study that hard. I couldn't be a pilot. I used to want to be an astronaut. Couldn't be a pilot. Too damn big. But I couldn't be a pilot too. It's things you can't do because you wouldn't make the commitment to do them. Mm-hmm. That people are commenting on, and then they comment on them, and then all of a sudden everybody else has to like live in their comments. I think that's what happened. Hey dog, you need to take care of that body, man. Don't let them tell you that you got to take care of your body. Like, what are you doing, man? Well, I'm cutting hair right now, so I'm chilling. But you need to take care of your body. Like, okay, I do take care of my body. That's why I work out. But that's the kind of thing that goes on. Like Daniel Jones. There are people who are going to be saying he should be playing. And I'm like, dude, that's your neck. Mm-hmm. So that's the part. When outside people, not that it's anything wrong with it, but when outside people comment on it and leagues react to it, that scares me.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Daniel Jones, of course. He has been cleared for contact. We'll see how that goes and evolves as the week of practice goes on.
He a quarterback. He ain't supposed to be getting contacted.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Hopefully, no contact in practice, of course. Keep that red jersey on. As a wrap up for our show, and what else do we have? There's some sort of, well, thanks for listening. All right. Make sure also like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought. Big Blue Kickoff Live is also, and all the rest of the Giants podcast platforms everywhere, archived, giants.com/podcast. All right. Let's just end the show.